This is my favorite story of the week. Shia LaBeouf has converted to Catholicism. That alone, I love. Shia LaBeouf, who's had some problems, who, like a lot of actors, has been kind of eccentric and explored lots of different things. Shia LaBeouf has converted to Catholicism. He was doing a movie about Padre Pio, who's a great Catholic saint. And my favorite part is the reason why Shia LaBeouf converted to Catholicism. The Holy Spirit would probably be reason number one. Reason number two, because of the traditional Latin Mass.
Latin Mass affects me deeply.
How come?
Because it feels like they're not selling me a car. And when I go to some Mass with the guitars and stuff, and I'm from, Santa Ynez, right? So that's where I was catechized. And there's a lot of guitar playing. And there's a lot of what feels like they're trying to sell me on an idea. I was always an agnostic, even when I was a Sam Harris, TED Talk, Christopher Hitchens guy, which is who I was before I fell in. I always had a belief, but I never had a connection. Latin Mass gave me something where I felt connected, which took me out of belief into connection. Belief kept me, I had belief because that's the rational, logical. It's not logical or rational to be atheist. If you really go deep enough, you get to the Big Bang and then you're screwed again. You have to account for it somehow, which puts you in a belief situation.
Right.
But too much of that logic and too much of that rationale takes me out of feeling, which takes me out of connection.
So he's describing it at the end in this kind of actory way, which is this immersive experience he's had at the traditional Latin Mass. But I also love that line at the beginning. I love the Latin Mass. I'm drawn to the Latin Mass. Why is that? Because I feel like they're not trying to sell me a car. And it's so true. The Mass that existed for most of the last 2,000 years until 1970, when a bunch of boomer libs decided to destroy the liturgy. Not just the boomers, it was even the generation before. When that happened, and then they instituted all the weird guitar churches and all that kind of stuff, it drove people away. It drove tens of thousands of priests away. It drove countless laity away because they feel like all of a sudden they're just being sold something. The priest is no longer facing the altar and we're all facing it together, but the priest is facing you and he's doing a little soft shoe and he's telling yuckity yuck jokes and it makes it all about you. But you go to church to get out of everything being all about you. Everything's all about you for your whole week probably. You go to church to experience something different outside of yourself, outside of the world. You go there for an experience of heaven, and that's what Shia LaBeouf is describing. He says, I feel like I'm let in on a secret, like I'm part of something, like I'm really witnessing a miracle take place. And it's not just a show to entertain me or to please me. I love it. Probably it's the liberal kind of church reformers who are going to be the hardest hit, because it turns out the youths don't want squishiness and electric guitars. They want truth. They want orthodoxy. They want smells and bells and a glimpse of heaven. That's what they want. I love it. This is wonderful stuff. Welcome to the church, Shia LaBeouf.
Michael, I think you know a question I'm going to ask you, because I bet you've been bombarded with this question. But why did you have to bring the Little League into politics the way you did? I mean, when I was 12 years old, if I hit somebody in the head with a baseball, I would be traumatized. I'd just be thinking the worst. I'd be terrified that kid was injured. You have to go to the hospital. I mean, you are shaking and terrified. You're a kid. And for another kid to come up, from the other team to come up and maybe give me a hug or let me know it was okay. As a kid, where you're immature and you're still learning about life, I'm down for it. I just want to know, do you want to take back anything you said about that incident? Or do you stand by everything you said? Even though I know that what you said, the principle about being tough applies to politics for sure. Just want to give you an opportunity to either defend yourself or to explain yourself a little bit more. I'm very curious. All right, thanks. Have a good one.
I stand by everything I said. I haven't been bombarded on that. For those who missed it a week or two ago on the show, I played this clip that had gone viral of the Little League World Series, and the pitcher kid beamed the batter in the head, and the kid went down, but he was okay. It knocked his helmet a little, but it still bounced off the helmet. And then the kid takes his first base, and then the first baseman walks over to the pitcher and gives him a hug. And I said, man, I bet these are such good kids. They're such good kids. It's wonderful. That's a great act of friendship to do that. I hope these kids go out and get an ice cream cone after the game. But The game is not the place for that. There's a time for every purpose under heaven, a time for war, a time for peace, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, and the game is not the place for that. And so you're making the point, yeah, sure, we got to be tough in politics, but we shouldn't be tough on the Little League field. No, that's the point of Little League. That's the point of introducing kids to sports. That's the point of education, is to model the right behavior for them and teach them the appropriate times for behavior. And so, yeah, if the pitcher had knocked the kid down and he were taken out on a stretcher, maybe that's a different circumstance. But he knocked the kid down. Kid got right up, dusted himself off, took first base. The pitcher was still a little shaken up about it. Okay. But the purpose of these sports is to teach kids how to work through these kinds of things and how to maintain their composure and how to follow the rules and how to play the game and how to be competitive when you're supposed to be competitive, and how to be sportsmanly when the game is over. And the problem here is not that the kid who got beamed with the baseball was nice to the other kid. The problem was the timing. There's a time and a place for everything. That was not the place for it. So no, stand by it. I wouldn't punish the kids for it. You might say, oh, that was very nice of you, Johnny, but it's actually not the place for that. Place for that is at the ice cream parlor or the soda fountain after the game. I'm glad you like that clip. Now, look, we hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate that. That's really great that we did it. Now we got to hit 1 billion, 1 trillion, 1 quadrillion. Who knows? Sky's the limit. Ring the bell, subscribe. We'll see you next time.